Sorry, we're late. We had to retake our thumbnail 3 times because Jeremiah.
Not because of me. That's not true.
What is up, guys? Hello. Welcome. If you're seeing this, you are most likely seeing the replay. I think we've got 5 people in the room with us right now. 7. We go live on Sunday evenings at 7 Central Time is the current time that we do our live stream weekly. And yes, his eye is looking some better. You can still tell that it was swollen. It's a little red, but definitely much improved from what it was the other day. It was pretty intense. Oh, hey guys, what's up? Hey Matthew, Cheyenne, Patty. Hey Ashley.
Lots of Michigan people.
Yeah, there are a lot of Michigan people in here. Hello. Thank you, Christy. Hello from Clarkston, Michigan. There's another one. Yeah, his eye looks so much better. He actually went and got a steroid. I don't know, for those of you who might not have seen the follow-up vlog. And yeah, we're definitely glad. Our friends that are kind of like some of our Vide mentors, he just graduated nursing school and they actually called us and said, hey, don't leave that way for very long because you don't want to mess with your eyes being swollen like that. So, wow, this chat is flying. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Let me see if I can slow it down here. Crazy Life Homestead, Clawfoot Farm, Windy Willow Farmstead, Adele, Aaron, Mary, Chris, hello. South Wales. Well, I'm so glad that you're here with us, Julie, and I hope that your day is better tomorrow. Well, welcome, Angie. We're glad to have you with us. Hello from Canada, East Texas, Georgia, South Louisiana, Nova Scotia. We're all over the place. Gear for Life. Nice new name change. I like that, and thank you for the compliment. Yeah, anytime you see me with something over my hair, it's usually just because I didn't wash it. So, and that's a lot this time of year. People in the winter are like, why aren't you wearing all your baseball caps? I'm like, I'm like, my hair's not dirty. Like, I don't have to cover it up. So, Southern California, cool. Got a couple people from Southern California here. Yeah, Maya's definitely looking a lot better.
Yep.
You feeling good? It didn't hurt, did it? It got a little uncomfortable there towards the end. You got pretty fussy.
It hurt when it stung, and then I actually put honey on the sting, which I think helped. And then when I woke up the next morning, it was swollen shut. I could just tell it was going to be bad. So I just took some Benadryl, and that didn't really help. And we tried different cold, hot, tea, this, that, the
tea
other.
bags helped some. They helped it not hurt, but they didn't make the swelling go down significantly.
And then the swelling felt like it got worse. And it felt like it was pushing on my eyeball, and my tear duct started really to hurt a lot. And that's when I went in and got a steroid shot. And by I got it at 6, and by the time I went to bed, I could open it.
Yeah, not much. But the next morning, it was like I could see his eye actually.
Mm-hmm.
Some questions here. Put your questions in all caps. Makes it easier to catch them. Daniel is recovering very well. Thank you for asking. I talked to him. I talked to him a little while ago briefly, and his physical therapist told him to start working on playing guitar. It's really painful, but he was actually able to play a whole song yesterday. So that's a really big thing. So, hopefully he'll get all of his range of motion back and he won't have any issues with that. Was Bear a rescue, or where did you get him? It's a really long story, but basically I had sworn off having a dog until I could not have a baby to take care of, because I had multiple instances of really not being able to train a dog how I wanted to. And just heartbreak that went along with that. We tried to rescue a German Shepherd when I was pregnant with Benjamin, and he ended up killing so many chickens. We had to rehome him because I couldn't train him. I couldn't work with him. I was like 38 weeks pregnant. And that was really, really heartbreaking to me. But I was in Louisiana visiting a friend of mine, and I basically told her I really, really want a dog, but I'm just so scared. And we actually went through some, like, we call it inner healing or prayer work, or some people call it sozo or just whatever. Basically, all that means is like searching out like the roots of your mindsets. And basically, I had really kind of come into a belief that I could not have a dog, that I was just not going to be a good dog owner and I would never have a great dog. And I decided that I was going to open my heart to that again. And that night, a post came up on Facebook. Wasn't looking for it, wasn't in the group. And this lady basically said she was looking for homes for a litter of accidental puppies. And it was a whole long thing, but she had ended up with this very, very, very high-bred German Shepherd that had been accidentally bred to a person's King Shepherd, which was their farm dog, and they were not willing to take care of her. So this lady had taken the dog and was finding homes for the puppies, and she had like a whole like application process and all this stuff. But she had gotten the dog fixed and had this one litter of puppies, and that's how I got Bear. And I went and I just knew it was him. He was the runt, the little dew claws, and I knew that he was my baby dog. And he was 2 weeks old when I first met him. She turned out, I was in Louisiana when I found the post. Turned out she lived 10 minutes from my house here in Central Arkansas. And yeah, so that's how I got Bear. It was totally God gave me my dog. He was exactly what I wanted. I love him so much. Donnie B. Donib, I don't know how to say this, but thank you for that super chat. And gosh, this is going so fast, and I love it. I love you all. Tell us about the Google Meet commercial. Well, thank you for the super chat. And yes, I will tell you about the Google Meet commercial.
It's really not. It's really not. Career. So we're taking bids now on all kinds of commercials. Tea commercials, coffee commercials.
It's so funny because
medication commercials. So if you see Jessica being like, "Do you have this? You could take this and have all these other symptoms."
No. So Google actually contacted us about a month and a half ago.
And the first time they emailed us, I thought it was fake, so I just ignored it.
Well, I mean, you get
tons of emails,
tons of scam emails when you have a channel. Today, I got a scam email from someone posing as YouTube telling me that my channel was flagged and I wasn't going to be able to do anything unless I clicked here and filled out my information, all that. But they sent it to my public email, and the email that we have registered with YouTube is not public. And so I was like,
good try.
Well, good try. But we just thought we were being scammed. So we didn't respond for like a week. And then they messaged us back and they're like, hey, we're really Google. Like, here's the stuff that you can look at. Would you be willing to allow us to use this clip? And so it was actually a huge blessing. Like, they compensated us for it. And it was just a massive blessing. It was just really cool. It didn't occur to me.
I didn't really understand what the commercial was going to be. I didn't makes sense
I got it, but I don't think I realized what a big deal it was.
Like,
I mean, to me, it's just a clip from our live.
But like the way that they pushed the commercial, like on all kinds of
everywhere.
TV channels, YouTube.
I mean, we've literally gotten thousands of messages from people and comments and stuff. I didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. To me, it was like, people watch us on the screen all the time. It's not a big deal. And then I'm like, oh, this is a little different now.
It was a little different.
So it's really cool.
I mean, people I haven't talked to in 15 years are like, did I just see you on a Google commercial? I was like, yeah, you did.
The best part was when we were watching The Masked Singer. Jeremiah's sister comes over from next door and watches that with the kids. And they were watching it, and the commercial came on, and our kids lost it because they hadn't seen it yet. It was really cool. Nerdy Farm Girl, thank you for the super chat. Do you prune your own late frost damaged squash and tomatoes? I didn't get a ton of frost damage. You can prune off what's frost damage. A lot of times what I'll do if I get a plant that's damaged like that is I'll let them grow some new growth for a few days and then cut off what's damaged, so they've got plenty of leaves to like get their sun sign in. So what were you?
Someone was asking, they hadn't seen the commercial. You could just YouTube Google Meets, and it's on there. And essentially what the commercial is about is Google has reworked their Meet app, which is like a Zoom, like conferencing call, kind of like video chat call thing. Anyways, they revamped it and made it free for everybody. And so they're promoting it, the new rework, and we were in the commercial for that.
Yeah.
It's right there.
Is that it? Yeah.
Yeah. Google Meet now free for everybody.
Okay. So yeah, here it is. Somebody might have already posted it, but there's the link to it on
there you go.
YouTube. Yeah. I don't know. It just didn't quite click. Matthew, I didn't order any more today. I texted him yesterday. I was like, "You've created a monster." Matthew's the one who sent me the first David Austin roses.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it, bud.
I texted him yesterday. I was like,
now if you want to send roses to Jessica, there's a 10 rose bush minimum. So that way we don't have to go buy 20 roses.
Okay, I put this in the vlog for tomorrow. But I got, let me make sure I have the right name. So another one of our viewers, so Matthew had originally sent me the David Austin roses. And then we got, I want to tell you the name of this rose.
We ordered some from another site.
Right. Well, I tried to order more David Austin bare root roses, but they actually wouldn't ship them to my zone this time of year because it's too hot. So you have to buy them in the gallons, which I don't do that till the fall. And so it's like the tail end of me being able to order roses because of the heat. And I got some other ones from heirloomroses.com is I think where I ended up ordering those, and those already came. And then I got this one from the Antique Rose Emporium that Maria Isabel sent us, and it's called Rosarium Uterson. Anyway, it's right here. It just came. So I found out about the Antique Rose Emporium, and I went on their website, and they had really pretty affordable prices. So I ordered a few more. So I haven't ordered like a ton.
Someone said they're having issues with their strawberries. What year did you plant them? We planted ours last year, and it seemed like they didn't do very good at all. And then this year, they literally exploded. Yeah. Like I just harvest 25 or 26 berries just today, and there'll be 26, 27, 8 more tomorrow. And that's just from one kiddie pool.
Yeah. So really, they really take off the second year. And I think that also depends on the kind. So I would.
Now, we got some from Darius Cooks.
We got some from Stark Brothers that they're already setting blooms. I think they
that's what I'm saying, because
something.
They were like considered an everbearer, so like first year producers.
Right.
And I'm telling you, we put those in the green stock, and then they had responded like the next day. Like they had like rooted. Anyways, Darius Cook said he just popped in to say you guys are awesome. Thanks, Darius. Apparently you have a YouTube channel. I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Have you tried growing passion fruit seeds before? I've not ever grown passion fruit. Also, the strawberry question came from Natalie Andress, and thank you very much for sending that super chat. I'm getting ready to plant sweet potatoes. Do you have to mound them? Gail, I listened to videos from Danny from Deep South Homestead, and I would suggest checking him out because he really knows his stuff. I don't think you have to mound them. I just modeled what I did after what he does, for the most part. Rick, I do have some knockout roses. We have some roses from Stark Brothers that I put in that are knockout roses. What's your best advice for someone wanting to start a YouTube channel? I don't really have a short answer for that other than just be honest and be who you are, because, no one else is doing that.
He seems like my kind of guy.
I did a series of like 4 videos with Morgan Gold from Goldshaw Farm. And if you look up Roots and Refuge and Goldshaw Farm, you should be able to find it. But we did like a 4 video series about if you want to start a YouTube channel. And that goes from what gear we use and kind of process and thought process and coming up with like your brand and all of that. Thank you so much, Mariah. That I agree that having the flowers mixed out really just makes it a richer experience. Someone else told me to post it. Someone tagged me in photos of their dahlias today that they said.
So apparently Darius Cook has a YouTube channel about cooking stuff, and just from my quick scroll, it looks pretty
cool,
like my kind of food. So I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Zuza, why is Bear always by you and so chill? You feel safe. I agree. I think that it's just relationship. I'm his person. Bear spent the first 6 months of his life on a leash next to me, like everywhere. I was working on something. He was on a leash at my feet. We were going around the farm. Just if I was cooking dinner, I would hook the leash up next to me on the cabinet so that he wouldn't be right underneath my feet, but so he'd be in the kitchen with me. And so he literally was just trained to be under my feet. And it's so funny now because like this morning, he was underneath the kitchen table. We were sitting around the table having like morning coffee and reading and stuff. And I stood up to go to the bathroom, and I looked at him and I was like, I'm just going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. You don't have to get up. And, Michaela, my sister, was over from next door, and Jeremiah, and they both at the same time goes, you know, he's going to get up. And he did. He got up and followed me to the bathroom, sat outside the bathroom. So I got him.
The running rose, is that the one on the arch? What is the name of your running rose? That's Tangerine Sky, right?
Tangerine Skies. Maya was out there deadheading the rose today.
Gotta get that thing looking primo.
Oh, moles. I'm so sorry that I don't have just a ton of experience with moles. We do have moles on our property, but we've never dealt with them in the garden.
What do we do for compost?
Does anybody have any suggestions about moles?
Yeah, we've never really dealt with moles.
Throw them in here, maybe, if anybody has any.
One of our cats killed one once, but
yeah.
I don't even know that was in the garden. I think that was actually in the yard.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys do for compost?
We just kind of muddle through. So we clean out all the barns. We have multiple barns now, chick brooders, like chicken coop. We just pile all that up and let it sit for a year, turn it a couple of times, and then we distribute it the next year. Now, we want to get into, and we're thinking about adding some space next to what garden are we calling? The OG garden? The original gangster garden?
OG would be sufficient because it would be the original garden. It doesn't have to be gangster.
No, if Kaylee was here, she'd support me. The original gangster garden. So anyways, the original garden, there's a section that we kind of looked at expanding just a little, like almost like an L leg off of it, and putting the tool shed in there for like all the sprayers and shovels and different, contraptions you see laying around. We want to get those out of the rain. And then putting some compost bins in there and actually doing some intentional composting, but we haven't gotten that far. White eggplant tips. Do you grow white eggplant?
Yeah, I've grown the Casper one before. I don't really have any tips other than other eggplant. My experience with eggplant is that flea beetles really like it, and you can deal with flea beetles by making traps with get a red Solo cup and put Vaseline on the outside of it and put it upside down in the garden because they'll go get stuck in that. Neem oil helps with flea beetles. Eggplants, I don't think they like being cold. Like, they don't like coolish nights. Like, I just started planting my eggplants right now. That's really the tips I have. But the Casper is the one that I've grown repeatedly. I like it. Why don't we grow corn?
I don't know.
I think that I may try. I've got some blue corn that I may try this year. The thing is that we are feeding a lot of people. I mean, seriously, if I'm cooking ears of corn for my family to eat corn on the cob,
it's like 20.
That's excessive. We're not cooking 20, but I mean it's I'll like 8 or 8 to 10, myself. And so I feel like I would have to give so much space to it to really make it worth it. And I can go buy organic corn for about 50 cents a year. So it's just, and we just don't eat a ton of corn.
Not really.
That's not one of the things that
because apparently it's not a vegetable, guys. It's a grain. Sorry to burst your little.
Except for I learned that it is technically considered a vegetable if you harvest it when it's soft kernels. It doesn't be considered a grain until I said I was wrong. Okay. How do you keep your girl and boy goats separate? They are on opposite ends of the property. They do not share a fence.
No, you share a fence, you have baby goats.
Yeah.
They will figure it out.
Yeah,
chop your peppers. We tried that this year, didn't we?
Some of them I tried it with this year.
We're gonna see how it goes.
As soon as I said I did it, I had a lot of people be like, "Oh, that ruined my peppers." So I don't,
That's why we didn't do it to all of them. We're too risky. Too risky. Oh, I need to go get my tea.
Yeah. I'm really trying to grow chamomile here in the Caribbean, but it just germinates and stays really small and it never really takes off. I'm not really sure why my chamomile has done as well as it has this year. I started it inside and then grew it and then transplanted it out. I think it does like fairly rich soil. I've heard some people say they get it in their garden, they can't get rid of it. I don't know that it likes super hot temperatures, and so that might be the issue. I know it grows through cold weather, like it can be frozen and it doesn't die. So I'm not 100% sure. When you pull a sucker, how do you root it? Can you plant it directly or should it be soaked first? Hayward Homestead. I'm going to do a video about this week, actually, because I'm getting a lot of questions. I personally put it in water until it grows roots, and then I put it in the soil. Or I'll put it in an individual, like a small pot of soil sitting in a because it's hot here and the top layer of the soil dries out fast. And so for me, I feel like it does better if I go ahead and put it in something where it's going to stay good and moist, because it needs to stay moist to root. But some people tell me they put them directly in the ground, and so that might work. Thank you, Carolyn. Alexandria, 9 and...
Did you use up all that cream?
2. Yes, but not just for tea and coffee, but also in cooking. Tiny tan cream bugs. I probably need to see a picture. I would guess maybe aphids, but I'm not 100% sure. Check out Ben Holler's compost bins. I have not seen Ben Holler's compost bins. When's the next date night? I don't know. Not sure. How prolific are ground cherries? They can be pretty prolific. I'm sure that they can be pretty poorly as well if the soil's bad. But, my experience is they produce a lot. And I've heard some people say they produce even more for them. Yes, I've watched Garden Answer. She knows her stuff.
How's the kitchen going?
It's not yet.
Yeah, we're doing what we decided to do is, we kind of changed our mind. We had a little miscommunicado.
It happened to us.
Yeah, it does happen. So we were thinking about just like tearing out that first half of the cabinets where the stove and the fridge were and just putting the new appliances in, and then just kind of dealing with that for a while until we could like redo the whole kitchen. And then we were like, well, let's go ahead and just redo the whole kitchen. And so that meant something different to me than it meant to her. And so that's where the miscommunicado came in. We've worked it out. We are fine. All of our YouTube children, we are staying together. We've worked it out. But I did get intense for a minute. So, what we're doing now is gathering materials, coming up with a plan, like the sink, the faucet, waiting to find out what happens with that. We're going to gather the wood that I'm going to use to build some of the custom cabinets or different things like that, picking out flooring. And once we kind of I feel like I've got most of what I'm going to need to install everything, then what we're going to do is gut the kitchen and get it back to somewhat functional within like 4 or 5 days.
I may go during that time and take the kids and leave and go like stay at my aunt and uncle's or at my dad's or something like that and just like go visit and get out of his way, because he'll be able to do work so much faster without us underfoot. So like we're kind of trying to figure that out, because basically like it's going to be more inconvenient to do everything at once, but it's going to be inconvenient longer if we try to keep it functional.
Yes.
Because it's already inconvenient. All my stuff right now I would show you, but I'm not going to. All of my
we started
stuff
cleaning
is
out cabinets and we're purging stuff, because when we put it back in, the top cabinets are going to open shelves. And so we're going to be really more particular about what we stick up there.
Getting
rid of stuff.
Living a rogue life. Bruce is doing awesome. Today, he's really, really cute. He's getting spoiled to being held while he sleeps. And so he's always in one of the kids' laps. And today I went by the little boy's room and he was sitting on Benjamin's bed, just looking out the window. It was really cute. So, Dylan Beck, Claire, thank you so much for that. Are y'all local to us?
Is that the ones offering about help?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Marissa, is it too late to replant ground cherries in 6B? I don't think so at all. I would go ahead and go for it.
Amy Tate, we just talked about this. Can you plant hot peppers with sweet peppers?
Yes. Okay. So there is a common misconception that if you plant sweet peppers near hot peppers, your sweet pepper will be hot. And that is not exactly how it works. What that misconception is rooted in is the fact that if you plant sweet peppers next to hot peppers and then you save the seeds, the next year, the sweet peppers won't be sweet. The seeds for those peppers will become hot because heat overrides sweet. The genetics of heat override sweet. And yes.
I felt you tapped me, so I tapped you back. Just out of love.
The genetics of heat overrides sweet. And so you can't save the seeds after a year, after the first year, unless you are going to do something to isolate those blossoms.
We're not just getting a ton of goat's milk right now. We only have one big goat in milk. And then honestly, the Nigerians have just been mean girls.
I like them, but I have not.
We have our opinions.
I have not been milking them because we have Mabel and milk.
She
makes more milk than all three of them put together.
Right. And also, like, did y'all watch the video where she basically just became stand trained first try? Like, got up on the stand, stood, didn't fight, like, let us milk her out, first go. That never happens. At least I've never heard of it happening before.
A little bit, you can absolutely save your open seed packets for the next season. I don't do anything to save them. I get washi tape, that scrapbooking tape, and tape the thing shut, and so that they don't spill out everywhere. If you're concerned about them getting wet, you could put them in like a baggie. But yeah, they're good for years. Just Goodness Homestead. Here's the link to that Google ad. We shared it a little while
I saw a question. Can Maya do a tutorial on how we did the rose trellis? I'm actually going to be doing 2 planter boxes and a rose trellis leading into the greenhouse. So the high tunnel greenhouse. So we're actually going to like have an arch that you step through the door and you'll come through an arch trellis of roses on the inside of the greenhouse. So I will do a tutorial on how I did that. It's really just build some boxes and then either actually what I did for the entrance into the garden with the paint door. That's just a box that I built out of treated lumber and then put fencing on it. The second one going into the perennial garden or the cottage garden is a arched cattle panel. It'll work the same.
I'm trying to be able to just handle and touch goats. Yeah. Whenever you've got goats that haven't been handled, it is definitely difficult to get them. All of mine, I haven't really spent just a whole lot of time trying until it comes down to milking them. And I just kind of like tackle it all at once. But a lot of times having babies just like really endears them to you. Like whenever you're there for that and you're handling them. The sex of the blossoms. Well, okay. So that's kind of hard to like, I have a really hard time teaching things when I can't show them. Like if you're looking at squash blossoms, female blossoms have the fruit behind them, and the male blossoms, like if you look at them, you can tell that they're different, and the male blossoms have pollen in it. And so what you do is you just pull back the blossom and you just touch the pollen part to the inside part of the female blossom. and it's hard sometimes, especially when they first set fruit because they set blossoms because they won't have both kinds, and you're like, oh, I can't tell them apart. When you have both kinds, it's very obvious. And then for a lot of things, they're self-pollinating. Like tomatoes have the male and female parts in each blossom. And so that's why you really just have to shake your tomato plants to get them to pollinate.
Great couple questions. I saw 2 people ask about the egg in the hole.
2 people asked about that? Oh,
yeah. Old man.
Literally an old man told me that gardened here for a really long time. I've been doing it for a really long time. I have been told, some people told me that that's been dug up by like critters and stuff. And that is something that I've never dealt with ever. And I've gardened here doing that and in town. We have so many critters. So it's surprising that I haven't, but I also plant mine really deep because my tomato plants are always really big. So that might be why. But someone else who suggested putting a fish head in the hole, which I cannot imagine would be any less smelly than an egg.
Oh, I'm sure it's more smelly.
They put garden lime on top of that to kind of help with the smell. And a lot of people say that the egg itself doesn't do any good. It's just the eggshell, so you could just put the eggshell, so you could totally do that. I don't know. I would think that you would be adding nitrogen to the soil with an egg. I would just think that whenever you think about what's in compost and you think about composting, like, you know, like you can compost banana peels and stuff like that stuff is going to break down. But I've had a lot.
We had a lot last year, people sending us side-by-side comparisons where they did this many tomato plants with an egg and they planted these at the same time without an egg. And these plants were doing significantly better. Yeah. That's how you should know whether you should do something or not. Like, some of the stuff we're doing is just because we try, like right now, peppers. We tried cutting them, topping them. We're going to see how that goes. If it doesn't work for us, we're not going to do it again.
Right.
If it works well for us, we'll apply it. Like, this is why gardening takes so freaking long to learn, because you get one try a year and then you have to change it for the next time or apply it or whatever. It's like, you get what I'm saying? Like, we get one season to try this stuff and figure out what works and what doesn't work. And so
City Stars, Amanda said the calcium in the eggshell doesn't become available to the plant until it breaks down. So the shell actually doesn't do anything for the plant in the year that you plant it, which that makes sense.
It takes, eggshells can last a while.
So I don't know that it's one of those things that I've always done. And so if I'm being honest about my process, it's like, okay, I do this. And I've always just had a really good success with tomatoes. And at this point, so many people have told me that they've had success with that.
And yes, so it's a whole egg, and then you crack it.
Yeah.
So she puts it in the hole, crack it, plant goes in on top. And then this year we put lime.
And then I tried putting some under peppers this year, just a few peppers as a test to see. Because some people ask.
Maybe egg in a hole works for peppers. Maybe we'll have some really spicy, eggy peppers.
I mean, like, to me, like an egg breaking down, I feel like that would feed I feel like that would be very similar to like blood meal. You know, like, I mean, it's the same kind of material.
It's biodegradable material. Yeah. Like, I mean, it
breaks down to nitrogen in the soil.
Right. It's
I don't know. Like, I'm not an expert. Have you done square foot gardening? Do you recommend it? Cheryl, no, not by the book. I've not done square foot gardening by the book. I've done definitely more intensive garden spacing in raised beds, which is kind of like a square foot gardening thing to do. But I haven't done exactly what they say, because the thing with square foot gardening, that was designed to use a certain soil mixture, which is very, very rich. And if you can source that, that's great. But I wasn't using that, so I didn't know that I could plant that intensively. The thing with square foot gardening is you really have to be prepared to prune and make sure your plants are well fed and well watered. Okay, Dylan Beck said that they're actually 15 minutes out of Clinton, Arkansas. Well, thank you so much for that. I guess you want to send us a message and we'll have your information then.
Is that the people offering help? Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Ever tried growing loofah? I've not grown loofah.
We talked about growing gourds along that chicken fence, but I don't know if we'll still do that or not.
I might. It's something
honestly,
I'd like to do at some point.
Now that we've kind of laid out the back, I mean, can kind of, once the shop goes in, we'll kind of have an idea better of like what's left being available. I think we want to put some trees in, maybe some fruit trees, now that we know there's not going to be animals back there to damage them and mess with them. But honestly, like how Baker Creek did that like really big, long arch and just grew gourds all over it.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun just for the aesthetics of it.
Beth, I bought sweet potato slips. They came in the mail all wilted and no roots. I put them in the water. Or should I wait to see if roots come? From what I understand, they can look like a hot mess of death, and they'll still grow sweet potatoes. Like when mine came in, they did not look that great either. And I planted them, and they literally just looked like like little branches. Some of them had little leaves. Some of them, even those fell off right after being planted. And what happened is like they were sticking out of the soil. You plant them deep. And I thought they all died. And then the next thing I know, like here's the original one sticking out and like a new sprig came up here with leaves. So from what I understand, they're very, very forgiving. So I would just try. I would put them in the ground and try, and hopefully they'll do well for you.
I want to answer a quick question, and then we got some super chats to answer. But someone was saying, why didn't I concrete my posts in the high tunnel garden beds versus the ones in the main garden? That's actually a design that I changed. So we actually have a video we're going to put up this week, a new how-to Roots and Refuge raised garden bed 2.0. And it basically, I'm just going to go over the different designs that I've applied about 4 different changes to improve on the garden beds. And honestly, the price really didn't change much. And so I think, honestly, these are definitely better than what we did before.
That video should be out like mid this week, I think.
Yeah.
Schmitz Riches, thank you so much for that super chat. Kimberly Drew said, I see a lot of galvanized culverts like a loaf of bread used as raised beds. Do you think the black plastic big 30-inch culverts would be okay? Cut like a loaf of bread. Okay. I don't see why not. I think they would probably be okay. Do you have any thoughts on that?
What was the question?
Like a big plastic 30-inch culvert cut like this, like a loaf of bread, and then turned and used like raised beds.
Okay, say it one more time. I see a lot of galvanized culverts cut like a loaf of bread, like garlic bread, like sliced like down the middle and then spread open. I'm just trying to understand, like, because I slice my bread like this. I don't see how that's making a garden bed. So I'm thinking you mean like this and then laid flat. Your issue is going to be drainage, right? Because you need water to go out. So either you could, if I'm seeing it right, which I might not be, you would either need to angle it so water runs off the bottom, or drill a bunch of holes so water runs out the bottom that way. But just having a solid metal French bread loaf.
But she said black plastic.
What? No, she said galvanized metal. Galvanized is what it said.
Lost it.
It's gone. I hope I answered the question there.
Big
galvanized. I see a lot of galvanized culverts. That's metal.
But do you think the black plastic big 30-inch culverts would be okay?
Same thing. You still have to. Drainage is going to be your problem. Just make sure it drains, and I think it'd work fine.
Maybe she'll clarify and we'll see it.
Maybe. Sorry, I'm trying.
I don't think that. I think like
and just stand them up
and then stand them up.
Yeah, but when you think of culvert, like remember when I was talking about that white plastic culvert, cutting it in half and then laying it flat, like half circles?
Yeah. Like rings,
whatever.
Like slices.
Just I can't anymore.
Someone asked what while they're still means, and that was from a few years ago. It was from a prayer, and where I really just felt like, it's just like one of those moments of revelation. I realized that like God is beyond finding out, essentially, and like if you always break down your boxes and go after like the wild things of God, like the unknown things, and like seek out the depths of God, like there will always be wilder still to discover. So let's see.
So my Sunshine Homestead, sliced bread or French bread. Thank you for
Hey guys.
Listen, I'm a visual learner, guys. All this conceptualizing in my brain is bad for me.
Have you ever thought about growing elderberries or even tea? Well, I do we have some elderberry starts, and I'm hoping to get elderberries. I've grown teas. I grow chamomile, I grow lemon balm, holy basil, tulsi, like all those things. So, we definitely use a lot of that stuff for tea.
Yes, and honestly, you could probably go less than 24 inches thick. I don't think you need that much soil.
Well,
like our beds are 18 inches tall, and then there's about 3 inches left at the top that's not soil. So
we made those back beds deeper, but it just depends on how much you want to.
How much do you want to spend on soil? You don't need 24
over.
inches of soil.
Yeah.
That's not necessary.
Yeah.
Now you could do 24 inches and like fill up the bottom with like composted leaves and sticks and stuff, and then put soil on it, and that would help hold water.
See, he said they're talking about what soil does. The Australian channel that Benjamin loves to watch.
Yeah, but his beds are kits. His raised metal beds are a kit. That's a kit you buy. That's not a culvert sliced. Now maybe he has that, and I just haven't seen it. But like those square beds that he has are like, he goes and reviews them. He said, "This is my review of this like cold galvanized kit.
Yeah,
and I like it or I didn't like it."
Okay, let's see. Courtney McMahon said, "I have some potatoes from the grocery store that sprouted." I don't know if I said thank you to Andrea for the super chat, but thank you, Andrea. Courtney McMahon said, "I have some potatoes from the grocery store. They're sprouted. Should I try planting them? If I'm in 8A, my soil is very clay, or save myself the effort and prepare the next season instead." Courtney, a lot of people grow potatoes from the grocery store. My personal preference, if I were going to grow potatoes from the grocery store, would be to grow organic ones, because potatoes can be kind of like sponges to a lot of toxins and stuff. But that's personal preference. Like you could totally grow those. They would grow. In most cases, I think. I've also heard a lot of people say something about how things can have growth inhibitor sprayed on them. But I mean, I've left some onions and potatoes in this little shelf right here for too long sometimes, and they get pretty dang big. And so, like, I'm just saying, I think you could probably grow those things. Oh, your poor little eye.
Because it got so swollen, my skin's still flappy. So listen, it retains its shape. Look.
Stop.
See.
Trying to answer Courtney's question.
I'm sorry, Courtney. I'm looking at myself and I'm like, oh, that's really creepy.
I think it would be a really great learning experience to try and just see what happens, because then you would really know if the clay is going to be an issue and if you need to build up on that next year. And you don't have any money in those potatoes. And
sure,
so before you buy good seed potatoes, I would definitely try, just for the sake of education.
Our first time trying to plant potatoes was horrible.
It was. I got like a few handfuls. What was a catastrophe?
It was a catastrophe. We got nothing. We got nothing. Let's just be honest.
Just own catastrophe. Catastrophe to me is like whenever like something blows up.
Right. It would be the essential. That was the equivalent of what just happened. It was like, oh, we planted potatoes. I was like,
no, a gardening catastrophe would be, today I found a grub in my potatoes back here because I was just like digging a little because I was going to try to peek, and then I saw the grub and I was like, ah. And now I have some beneficial nematodes I'm going to put back there. That's supposed to help with grubs, because a catastrophe would be digging up that potato bed and getting nothing.
That's not going to happen. We're doing too good this year.
Okay. That would be a catastrophe.
Okay, fine. I'll go back there and curse the grubs. And they will all die.
Christina Jenkins, thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Christina, for relieving the stress. Oh, don't leave. You just ruined everyone's day.
Let's see. I have not heard of the Peggy Martin rose, but that sounds beautiful. Okay, Terry said, I grew I grew sweet potatoes from the store-bought sweet potatoes in clay 2 years ago, and they did good, but I would add topsoil to it with clay. The thing is, if you have clay, you can grow things more successfully if you can put down just some cover down, like you put down a little bit of topsoil and then like some straw or something on top of that, because that's going to keep that clay from drying out super bad and cracking really bad.
What are the purple noodle beans called?
They're just called noodle beans. Red noodle beans is what they're called. Do ground cherries need support? No, they grow pretty well. You could put them on like a tomato cage or something like that if you wanted to keep them up where they could be easier to pick, but they don't need that. Yes, I have seen the black pearl. It's really a beautiful plant. How do you keep potatoes over winter to plant for next year? Teresa, I don't really know the answer to that question. I know that you need to cure them, which is like laying them out, letting them get really good and dry. But I've never done that before. This is my first year to grow a large amount of potatoes. Yes, Darla. tomatillos from seed the same as you do tomatoes. You start them about the same time and they grow. Yes, Terry, ground cherries would absolutely do really well in kiddie pools. I would put probably, if you had like one of those kiddie pools that's like 4 feet across or something, like 4 plants in there, but they would do really well because they're not like super deep rooted and they don't need a lot of support. So that'd be a great way to grow them.
Thank you, Casey Urban Farms, for the picture. I understand this. Cutting the culverts into sections, however deep you want to go, would work fine. Also, I wanted to address this. I don't know what the name is. Miss K. Bruns? K. Bruns? She said she asked a question and it got cleared. She wanted to make sure that it wasn't inappropriate. It's not inappropriate. I just didn't see it. I didn't see it get cleared. So I want to go ahead and address it to make sure that you know that we's good. We're doing pretty good. I still, for the most part, have cut out a lot of the bad things. Where I have backslid on is like bread. I basically had cut out all bread and now I'm eating bread again because I love it. And I'm going, that's my personal journey. Jessica, where would you say you've
health?
Do you want to share about that journey?
You're not going to bust me out?
I won't do that to you, baby. I got your back. But I mean, if you want to share, it might be good for you.
So I've been juicing again for the last few days. So
I like how you start with the
feel free
to
call me to tell me that I look skinny.
I just found this out a few days ago. I was floored. I could not believe what came out of her mouth. Yes, the sides of my head are shaved. I actually like it a lot.
So this is my confession, my public confession in front of 1.7 thousand. Wow, I'm going to say this in the largest room we've ever had.
That's right. Let's do it.
Okay, so I had like a horrible sweet tooth, and the thing that I genuinely, and I think it's probably been 5 or 6 years since this has been an issue for me, but it is directly related to stress, and I crave sugar in the form of just like cheap candy. I'm talking like Chewy Sprees, like garbage candy. And I told Jeremiah the other day, I was like, I have to have a confession because I was like, I've got to stop doing this. And I was like, but I have been eating candy. Like, and this, guys, like I eat healthy. Like, and I'm like very much against like GMOs with sugar and so much of that stuff. Like, I'm just like, I literally am like, no. And when I'm not having a sugar monster inside of me because I've got a chewy addiction so I read Chewy Sweets because I got a sugar addiction. Like I'm not even tempted to eat candy. But if I start eating candy, forget about it. Like it will be like a daily thing. And I'm like, I need candy. And so like
Gregory Dye, yes, you are in the same vein as my wife.
What do you say?
Chewy Sprees. Yes. Sour sweet tarts, like the chewy sweet. Chewy,
super sweet, over the top. Oh my gosh, Jenna Stewart, thank you so much for that. Like
she came on when she said, listen, she said, I've been eating candy. And I said, okay, like what do you mean? She's like, no, you don't understand. Every time I leave the house, I'm getting candy. I'm like, who are you?
I'm sorry. Oh, it's seriously, here's the problem for me. Like if I don't eat healthy, I gain weight really fast. Like I just do. Like I'm fairly small built. I'm not like tiny or anything, but like I'm like a, size 8'10". Like I'm just like an average woman, I would say. But I can gain weight really, really fast. And seriously, like a week of eating candy regularly or a week and a half of eating candy regularly, I put on 10 pounds because just sugar is so bad for you. And so, yeah, I've been like today, I've had a horrible headache today because I'm detoxing refined sugar and I'm back on juicing. So it's where I'm at. Honestly, I'm candy. I love candy. Literally, like the last few days, now that it's out of the open, I've been like really sassy about it. And Jeremiah's be like, "What was it that you said to me the other day? You said something about making dinner," and I was like, "I just want to eat candy." It's just like this is ridiculous.
Good job.
Oh gosh, I think I missed Eliza Lewis super chat sticker. Thank you for that. Y'all are sweet and encouraging. So now it's out.
My only sweetener that I'm consuming is real maple syrup. I put it in my coffee. That's it.
Sugar is so addictive,
and it just messes up your whole diet. Messes up your appetite. Messes up your diet. It builds fat. It's just bad altogether. Yeah. Even though it tastes so good. Because here's the thing. It's like, here's my weakness, but I have mostly kept it under control. Honestly. Like, my weakness is ice cream. And I told Jessica, I said, I don't care how healthy we get. I was like, I will never cut out ice cream as if I'm never going to eat it again. Like, I've already, listen, like, this is my box. Ice cream is in the box. Ice cream's never coming out of the box. Unless a doctor came to me and said, if you don't stop eating ice cream, you'll die. I will not stop eating ice cream. Now, I have been able to control myself.
You said unless a doctor
Unless. If he came to me and said...
you said if one.
I'll be like, I don't care if I die. I'm going to eat ice cream. No, that's not what I meant. I said, unless he tells me it's going to kill me. No, I love ice cream more than cheesecake. Cheesecake's great, but honestly, ice cream is here to stay. I can cut out cake. I'm actually not even that big on cake because most of the time it's like nasty, frosted, like buttercream icing. I hate buttercream icing. The only way a cake should be iced is with whipped cream icing. So I can cut out cheesecake. I can cut out cake. I'll never cut out ice cream. I love ice cream, and I love good ice cream. Like, honestly, we have an ice cream maker. We make our own homemade ice cream out of, like, high-quality ingredients, but it's still not that good for you. So what I've been doing is just, if I get a really bad hankering for some ice cream, I'll get, like, 1/2 gallon, and that will probably last me a month. Just eating a little bit at a time. Just because I love the taste. So I've done fairly good. But my biggest thing that I'm not still losing weight, I've kind of just stopped because I'm eating carbs again with pastas and breads, and I need to stop.
Why gain 10 pounds?
Because I feel better. I just feel better. Even if I'm not losing weight, I feel better when I'm not carbing up.
Yeah. For me, it's like sugar is just so bad for you, and it is so stinking addictive. And so, like, for me, it has to be black and white. Like, I have to say, I do not eat refined sugar because I can't eat some. Like, it just doesn't work. Like, I just can't do it. Okay, Alexandria. That's a really good question. It's a deep question. I've been contemplating the idea of tithing time for a while. Then I heard you mention it the other day. Can you talk about how that came in your life and what it looks like for you? So I use the terminology tithing time because I think that's something that people can really understand. I don't necessarily feel like, I mean, there are definitely scriptures that you can go to about tithing your finances, but I don't think that there's necessarily a thing that says definitely do this. But there are a lot of scriptures that talk about the mercies of God being new in the morning and meeting with him in the morning. That's something that David references a lot in the Psalms, like meeting with God in the morning. And so I do think that there's definitely blessing in giving God the first and the best of everything that you have. And so for me, when I use the phrase of tithing with time, what I'm referencing is giving him the first fruits of my time, which is to say that I'm going to wake up and give God the first slice of my day. And that doesn't necessarily that it means that it needs to be 10% of your day, or that it doesn't need to be like a rule or a legalistic thing. But I think that it is definitely beneficial to wake up and say, everything of my day, I want to flow from this place. And so for me, honestly, sometimes it looks like laying in bed, not on my phone, and literally just being prayerful and thoughtful. If I have slept enough to be able to do that, if I know that I'm just going to fall back asleep, I get out of bed. I just have to be honest with myself on that, because if I'm really tired, I can't just lay in bed. I'll go to sleep. And so I'll come to the kitchen table. Sometimes I'm well rested and I can do that.
Right. Stephanie at Canyon Creek Urban Farm, would you change anything about your greenhouse? You're going to have to specify. We've got 3. Which one? The window greenhouse or the high tunnel? It'd be hard to change anything about the high tunnel because it kind of just comes the way it is. So if you would mind commenting, I'll try and look for it.
But with that, like for the morning time, like what that looks like a lot of times is just getting up. Sometimes it's reading and sometimes it's journaling. But for me, it's day in and day out, just making sure that I'm starting my day with my heart postured well. So hope that answers that. And Daniel said, y'all are my fave. I find so much motivation for my second year gardening with your channel advice.
Technically, she said fav. Technically.
Do you have any organic tips for aphids? Last year, the thing that ended up really helping with aphids was we got a bunch of ladybugs and released them in the garden.
Oh, yeah, we should do that again.
And they knocked out some heavy aphid infestations that were on my beans and tomatoes. But we've also done like neem oil, which helps, but they end up just coming right back after.
What can you direct seed now in your climate? Our climate right now.
Beans, cucumbers, melons, a lot of flowers like zinnias and sunflowers.
Is it too late to direct seed tomatoes?
No. The problem with direct seeding tomatoes and peppers right now, well, tomatoes specifically, is that they're going to be coming to the stage of setting fruit when it's really hot outside, and so that might be an issue. But you could try.
Window greenhouse. Would you change anything about the window greenhouse? Personally, no. I thought I did a pretty good job. That's my humble side. What would you change?
I think the only thing that we found
after
out
the whole candy debacle, be careful. My love is not fragile, but I'm a little unstable right now.
I think the only thing that we figured out after the fact was that we really needed to put some sort of door stopper on, because when the door swung open, it hit that vented window when it was open, and he had to go back out and fix that because it ended up knocking that off. But he put a little stopper on. So that was the only thing. Everything else has been really wonderful. It's hot in there. It gets really, really hot, which is great. It holds the heat wonderfully when it's cold outside.
Maybe too well.
But I think that what we may try next year is either some shade cloth, or I've heard that you can paint chalk on to filter the light. And I'm probably going to do that for my top shelf next year. But that's not something you really change.
What if we just got some shade cloth and like hooked it to the side? Like I can get a piece of shade
totally
cloth
do that.
and just spread it over the whole greenhouse.
Yeah, something like that.
That's probably what we'll do for next year.
Daniel's doing well.
24 inches deep on the shelves.
He's doing really well. He played a song on the guitar yesterday. He's recovering. It was painful, and he said he couldn't play anymore. But it's definitely, his physical therapist told him to do that. He's recovering. So he's not. I mean, he's got a lot of unknowns going on. But
we do not have to have full-time jobs. These are our jobs.
Yes.
I'm medically retired, and Jessica does this YouTube full-time. So we don't work outside the home.
Yes.
We blessed.
Everybody's praying mantis.
Deny?
No, I don't deny.
That's
We're
right.
definitely
You can't deny the Holy Spirit. Recognize the blessings.
Can you discuss beneficial nematodes? I have some in my fridge. I have not put them out yet. This will be my first year using them, so I don't really have a lot to say yet. But they're supposed to be helpful with dealing with grubs and other pests. So I'm going to be putting them out soon.
I feel like beneficial nematodes should be used for so much more than that, just because it sounds good. Like, I'm putting it in my smoothie.
Yes, his eye swelling has gone down pretty significantly.
Still got a puffy skin though. Watch.
Oh, stop!
See, it retains
weird.
it. See, it's like I can do some crazy stuff in my eye. I feel like Mad Eye Moody.
Greenwich Homestead made homemade pizza, 95% from the farm garden, only bought flour, almost missed love. That is so awesome. That is such a great feeling to have like a plate of food that you primarily grew.
We've been getting a lot of those. Like Jackson actually had a friend over and was like cooking him lunch, like his friend lunch, and he cooked the sausage we grew, eggs from our farm, and then honey. He had pulled some honey out of the hive, and he could put honey on the plate. He's like, I'm giving him a meal completely produced on our farm. I'm like, yeah. He's like, it's pretty cool. He's like talking with his friends on his Xbox game, and like I had pulled out a frame of honey that we were just going to eat the comb, and he's like, "Oh, my dad pulled out some honey out of the hive. I didn't know he was going to do that." Like, talking up to his friends, so yeah, he may not admit it openly, but he flexes on the farm. He thinks it's pretty cool.
Living a rogue life. We actually don't have our horses anymore. I don't know that we've addressed that in a video, but we've shared.
I think we did. Maybe it was just lives. So essentially the guy pulled the lease on us, which is his choice. And I was unwilling to lower their quality of life because I could not put them back on a small pasture that was already being overtaxed with the goats and the alpacas. So we found someone trusted and rehomed them.
Yeah, which is a bummer, but
because God told me that we can get other horses.
Yeah, and I think that we saved those horses in the time that we got them, and they
Now
are
they've got
in
great
great
homes.
home now. So, TC Gamer, thank you so much for that super generous super chat.
Super generous super chat.
I'm not sure I know what's going on with you. I've got shots in my eyes every 6 weeks so I wouldn't go blind. Can't feel my hands or legs to the point of not feeling the pain of a 3rd-degree burn. Goodness, that is really difficult to deal with.
So keep eating sugar. Do not listen to him. I appreciate the super chat. That is bad advice.
Yeah, sugar can be really intense. I mean, I don't think that having sugar is bad, like altogether.
I don't think we'll have to address. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I just have to be black and white about things. I'm really not. Oh, diabetic. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh yeah, I feel you on that.
Yeah,
my mom got diagnosed and needed to take insulin, and she refused. And she actually controlled her diabetes completely through diet.
Yeah, she did.
She never had to do insulin.
Yeah,
she got really strict in her last 10 years. No, she also didn't get her colon checked like she should have.
Yeah,
but she did control her diabetes. So
I'm 5'5".
When
that's how tall I was. Jeremiah's 6'1".
I'm 6'1".
So he's quite a bit. Yeah, he was being sarcastic.
We are not taking the high tunnel with us. It's staying.
He was being sarcastic.
About what?
About sugar, because he's being like, obviously, don't keep eating.
Yeah, I'm gathering it now. No person who is a diabetic is like, eat sugar. I get it.
How are you addressing pollination in the high tunnel?
I don't think we'll have
it's a high sidewall high tunnel. So it
plus the bees are being moved right next to it,
and also there are fans. So everything that we're growing in there, for the most part, like we're not growing anything like squash. I'm going to try some cucumbers, but I have one type of seeds for one called Monaco, which is a self-pollinator. Like it doesn't require pollination, so I might still do that. We do have some alpacas, August. That's something that we have not addressed a whole lot about, but we have actually downsized our alpaca herd. That was something that needed to happen because
it was just too much for us.
It was way too much. And we've downsized. We have one male that lives with our goats, and
they're all best friends.
They're all best buddies. And
Manny.
We call him Manny and the Billy Goat Scruff because we have three goats, and they just and so like they're like a boy band. And then we have 3 females, which I believe all of them are bred. So we maybe
growing
keep some of the babies. I mean, they only have one cria each, and they only have one baby every 12 months. So that's definitely manageable. Okay. But we were dealing with a lot of health issues. We were working with a vet, and the alpacas that we have are older, and we had dealt with some loss with them, and it was just basically very, very, very overwhelming. And our land was taxed, and we decided that was the smartest thing to do. About the time that we
I'm not
horses.
Someone, I'm sorry, I'm just thinking out loud.
Okay.
I do. But someone's asking about the bees. Like, do we need all those bees and all that? I don't know. I don't need them. I want them. Honestly, I was talking with Jessica. Like the bees for me is like gardening for Jessica. For as far as the homestead project, like what like I really feel passionate about, I'm really into the bees.
As far as like our actual needs, I think that we're
way over what we need.
We would be fine with our household needs with like 2 hives.
Maybe 3.
Don't really eat refined sugar. We use honey for like everything, and I would use it more if it wasn't as expensive as it is. And so we will like not even use sugar for like baking and stuff once we have plenty of honey. So maybe 3. But having more will give us the capacity to be able to have extra for other people. But it's for him.
I don't know. Ben is really into the bees. We've been really doing it a lot together and helping. Like I actually caught our employee Ben Turn. He's really gotten into it, really enjoys it. We've helped him. Like, I actually caught one of my really strong swarms and gave it to him, and he moved it to his property, and it's doing really well. And we actually might end up moving some more hives out there if we keep catching them. We're going to set up some swarm traps out in the woods. He really likes it. And like the fact that we're doing it together. Maybe in the future, we've talked about maybe like expanding into like an actual honey, like when we have a storefront or something. And we've we're like currently, it's like conceptualizing stage. Like we have a lot to learn about beekeeping and harvesting and all that. But we love it. We both really like it.
You can lose hives as easily as you can multiply them. So we're multiplied up to 7 hives at this point. But like we lost
that way,
one
if we
over
lost
the
2
winter,
or 3, we would still be fine.
A big deal. We are considering starting a homestead and homeschooling our kids, ages 6, 5, and 1. What does your schedule look like? Is it possible to really start both? And what if your husband worked part-time or full-time?
You could do it.
So I really do believe that people can do this. It definitely changes can you do both of those things and still have a super packed social schedule? I can't even answer that for anybody. I can't have a super packed social schedule and do those things.
No.
But there was a time that Jeremiah did work outside of our house, and we had the homestead and we did homeschool. We didn't do YouTube. That's one factor.
And the homestead suffered.
Yeah, that's one factor. And there were some areas where we were really in over our head. I think
we made bad choices and learned lessons.
You can have things in a measure that you can manage. And it might look like only having 6 chickens. It might look like not having a massive garden. But my thing is I think that it's worth starting even on a small scale because the measure that you're going to learn in that process. And then if you get to a place where it's something that you can expand on, you are going to have more time. Your kids are going to get older. Like you're going to have more time and then you can expand. And at that point, it's not like, oh, I can do this now. So let me start learning all the lessons. I mean, like you learn so much in the first 5 years of homesteading, even on a small scale. And I don't know, like it's hard for me to like, as far as like us as an example, I spend 40 hours a week doing YouTube. Like I shoot videos, edit videos, respond to stuff, and I spend at least 40 hours a week doing that. This is a full-time job and I treat it like that. And it's a blessing. It's a huge blessing to us. Like it pays me like a job. And so that is something that is factored in. Like I'm not really just staying at home. So like homeschooling our kids is something we both do. Typically in the mornings, that's what it looks like. My personal schedule looks like waking up around 6, having quiet time, journaling and stuff like that. The kids get up, they eat breakfast. Our kids are really getting to a place where a lot of the stuff that they do is pretty self-sufficient. We get started outside fairly early, and we do our work out there. We come back in. We usually do homeschool like late in the morning, in through like lunchtime, and then shortly after lunchtime. And then, there's a lot of time like editing and stuff like that. That's like afternoons a lot of time. And then into the evening is whenever we're out shooting videos and working outside on stuff. And throughout that whole day, he's usually working outside with Ben Turn. And so it is, I have so many people ask me all the time, like for doing a day in the life video. I don't know how I could possibly do that. It changes so much with the seasons. Like I was out planting until dark last night in the rain. Like, and I mean, that's just a lot of what we do is fitting in little time slots with the task that most needs to be done. And so I think you can definitely start.
Yes.
I think you can start. Don't
go small.
You don't have to do it big, but start learning.
It's better to start now than late. Because I believe that everybody should be looking into food security. Yeah. It's important.
One thing that somebody said to me earlier, and it was a really good conversation. Thank you, Brittany Gabowitz, for that. I almost missed that.
She was like, I sent a super chat and forgot to say how much I love you guys.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Before you go any deeper, Sherry 1674, you can definitely use totes for raised gardening. There's all different kinds of ways. There's grow bags, there's plastic totes, there's culverts cut in sliced bread form, something, whatever. There's lots of ways. Totally can do that.
One of the things that someone said earlier, thank you, Andrew. I was talking and they were talking about buying some stuff to get started. And they're like, well, my biggest fear is that I'm going to spend this money and I'm not going to get any food in trade for it. And I thought, at the time, I thought about it, and I just have really been thinking about that comment, because I hear that so much where people are like, well, I really just don't know, because if I buy this, or if I invest this time and I do this work and I don't get enough in return, then it won't have been worth it. And I think when it comes to growing food, you really need to be willing to invest in your own education. Like, you need to be willing to invest time. There's not a single thing in the world that you are going to become educated in that is not going to require a time investment or a monetary investment, or heavy in both. I mean, like, if you become educated in anything, it takes time, commitment, and money. And a lot of things you might spend some money on or spend some time on and not immediately get a huge return. But freshmen in college do not get doctor's paychecks. Like, it just doesn't work out that way. And so truly, if you're willing to step into it and be like, I'm going to learn to grow food because this will benefit me for the rest of my life, and you consider the first 4 seasons of growing food going through college to do that, like, I promise you, by the end of your career, you will be, or your education, you will be making, it will be beneficial at that point. But like, the idea that you're going to plant your first garden and not have to go to the grocery store at the end of it, that's just not going to happen. I mean, like, I don't want to be, I don't even like doing that. Like, I don't want to be that person's, like, the dream squasher. But like, I think that setting a realistic expectation,
having a 5-year plan. Don't
is
try to
set a
do too much
5-year
too
plan
fast.
and
Be
educate
patient.
yourself,
Yeah.
and know that you're investing in
Yeah.
your future.
All right, so I saw this comment, Newfie Guy 2525. Hi from Newfoundland, Canada. Love your videos. Been watching since mid-March. Started seedlings then too. Built a raised bed. Can't wait to start planting in the next couple of weeks. So, Newfie Guy, I hope you're still on here. My family has deep roots in Newfoundland, Canada. My grandmother, who actually has been one of the biggest investors, she got us our first greenhouse. She bought us our first package of heirloom seeds. Like, she grew up homesteading in Newfoundland.
Yeah,
like, she lived on a homestead.
No,
they just call it life. Outhouse kind of, farm, homestead, lots of gardening. Like, she grew up, that was her life. I still have distant family all over. I believe the last name, because she married into Sowers, I believe her last name is Tracy, her maiden name. And so I still have a ton of family in Newfoundland, Canada with the last name of Tracy. If you know anyone with the last name Tracy, they're somehow related to me. In some indirect way, they're connected somewhere. So my sister's gone and visited multiple times up to Newfoundland. I've never made a trip up there, but that doesn't mean I'll never go up there. It would be really cool to go. I would love to go see it. So that's really cool. Thanks for commenting and watching. We're connected some way.
That's newbie steaders. That's such a very, very valid point. Even experienced gardeners can't guarantee their harvest because there are so many variables. Like, it is crazy to like really realize, there are a lot of people who are experienced gardeners that lost their garden this year to frost. Many of the people with experience, you learn how to adjust to things. You learn to set your expectations properly. Like, it's just a process, and your chances get better as you learn, and you learn in the process, but you're still dealing with a lot of variables. I think, do you grow Kajari? How to grow Kajari melon? Just like any other melon, like, it needs good fertile soil, fairly regular water. I like to grow it up a trellis because that is a lot easier. I've grown it on the ground as well, but I like to grow it up a trellis. Thank you, Angela Orr. Do you notice a difference in disease between store plants bought and seeds you started? I don't think so. I don't think that I've noticed a difference. I would say no. Like, just kind of looking back over it, I don't remember having either one be particularly, like, hard. They've all, if my plants get disease, they pretty much all get it by the end of the season. But
what do cucumbers taste like? Cucumbers.
Kind of lemony cucumbers. They're, like, really tart. Well, thank you, Tia. I appreciate that. Okay, best way to network with other local homesteaders. Big Lick Mountain. hooking up on like sites like there are good Facebook groups for homesteading and stuff that might help. Really, like if you can connect, it's really finding where the network is, which is kind of difficult. Like looking for plant sales is a good way. Any sort of like sales like that. The thing is that there's like some places here, like sale barns where you can go get animals. There's a ton of people like growing food and keeping animals that aren't really part of like a homesteader community. They're just people that are doing that for their life and they're not really looking for community with other people. HOA is a really cool organization that connects a lot of homesteaders together. If you're not already connected with HOA and following them, that's probably a good place to go. And then of course they have the big conference at the end of the year. And then a lot of people go to that and get hooked up. For me, we have a really great community in Conway and like urban farms and urban gardening, and like find the urban farms and gardeners because they know the people, and find the local restaurants. That's another thing. Like I've learned about a lot of local farms because of restaurants that do farm to table because they're buying from all of them. And a lot of times they'll highlight them. I don't have any rhubarb plants. I would really like to grow some rhubarb, and I just haven't.
I think we tried to get some, and they sold out.
Yeah.
So we don't have any.
I've never done straw bale gardening.
Nope, we never tried that.
What do you use fish peppers for? I've never grown just a ton of them, but like the ones that I've grown, I've just dried with some of my other peppers to do like fermented hot sauces and stuff.
Ground cherries taste like heaven.
They're kind of fruity. They're a tomatillo. They're like a cherry tomatillo, but they're like a little tropical. They're really sweet. I actually talked about that in the vlog tomorrow. I talked about ground cherries and what they taste like.
I don't think we've considered getting flow hives because they're so expensive. And honestly, I'm pretty sure they're still pretty backordered. Like they're very popular. And like, will we ever try one? Maybe.
Yeah.
Will I ever convert all my hives over to flow hives? No.
Yeah. They cost a lot more than just regular boxes. Our collection of bee boxes have been almost entirely bought secondhand.
Yeah, mostly.
And we have a lot of them. And so I just don't imagine like going and buying something brand new that's expensive. We probably won't do that because what we have works and it's paid for. That's funny. Cherie's Kitchen. How do you know you're a gardener when you find yourself saving seeds from the cucumbers in the restaurant salad that you're eating? That's hilarious. Do you remember the first time somebody ever called you a gardener? Like that to me, I remember like the first year that I like grew a big garden, and I'd had small gardens, but I would have never called myself like confidently a gardener. And
until now.
Well, no, we had gone down to Texarkana to listen to our friend Ryan preach. He was down there.
Oh, yeah.
And he was doing like a revival service at this church, and we were down there, and he said something about me, and he was using gardening as like an analogy in his sermon. And he was like, well, Jessica's a gardener. And I remember being like, I am, like, it just it stands out to me like the first time that anybody ever called me a gardener. And it's just funny now considering what I do. Christy, they grow pretty quick. I want to say, I mean, like I usually transplant my tomatoes at like 6 to 8 weeks, but you can probably do it before then. If you're really eager to get them in the ground, they'll grow fast.
So Ashley, our current kiddie pool full of strawberry plants is doing well. Yeah. Not a lot of bug issues. They're producing a lot of berries.
Slugs, but not
maybe,
too bad.
But honestly, by the time they're done eating one, there's already 20 that they're missing. So yes, I think kiddie pool so far for strawberries has been very successful. This year, we added to the strawberries by planting them in a green stalk. And then we're probably going to try and expand that. We're just kind of trying things out. We're figuring out the best way to do it. I have a feeling the green stalk's going to be superior because I think harvesting is going to be easier.
Because some of the berries that we have had slugs in them.
Right.
But I haven't done anything to like try to trap them or anything like that.
No, but yes, kiddie pools work great for strawberries. You could run 2 or 3 and have a big harvest.
Domestic Devo, I cannot remember where my original climbing triple crop seeds came from. I think maybe from a place called Pine Tree Seeds, but I'm not entirely sure if that was it. I got them years ago, and since then, the ones that I've planted for like the last few years have been from seeds that I saved from my own climbing triple crops. And I've gotten the triple crops from In My Gardener, as well as a viewer sent me some from a plant called triple crop tree or something like that. And the thing is some of those don't have potato leaves, so I'm not 100% sure that they're the same. But I'm hoping to save more seeds this year for the climbing triple crop, and maybe be able to get them out there. About ready to wrap it up? You haven't eaten dinner yet. I'm growing silver slicer cucumbers this year. I'm pretty sure those are white. Maybe they're not though. Maybe they're really light green.
Hi from Turkey. What's
no,
up?
Tammy, I have not found those beans. They had them at Botanical Interest. I don't know if they're in stock now. So,
well,
all right. What were you about to say?
Well, I don't know. So just people have different personalities. I don't want to just assume that she's trying to be a jerk, but I've been praying about it for a second. So, Celeste, one, calm down. There's 1,800 people on here. We're not ignoring you because we don't like you. We just didn't see the question. Here's what I would suggest. You're taking plants 3 hours to an autistic boy. Take what he will eat. If you take him stuff he won't eat, you're wasting. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one thing if he's just wanting to grow plants and take him something that's hardy that will just grow and make him happy. If you're wanting to take him plants that you want him to consume because it's good for him, then take him the stuff that he'll eat. Don't take him stuff that he's not going to use. That's my suggestion.
And if is he looking to grow like a food garden? Is that the thing that he's interested in? Because something like zinnias, that he would be able to maybe cut some of the flowers, like something like that he could get really interested in growing, like cut flowers. I think that would be kind of a good choice. They grow really easily. And
someone needs to put this person in timeout. Michaela Sowards, that's my sister.
When can I send your kids home?
You know she's going to pull that super chat back too. Michaela, that's not right. If you finished the question adequately, I guess it would be figure out what he's wanting to do, figure out what he'll eat, what he likes, and then plan accordingly.
All right.
And breathe.
Just kidding.
And breathe.
One thing too, I don't know, but like maybe like some maybe lamb's ear, or maybe some things that would be really textural. I don't know where he's at on the spectrum and how he responds to different things. I mean, that's going to be really specific to each child. Like,
take him some, take him some ground cherries. Some
sensory things is
and
what
call
I was
it
thinking.
garden candy.
Yeah, like ground cherries might be cool, but like something sensory like lamb's ear. That's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm very sensory. This is just something like a lot of you notice this about me, but like I touch everything. And a couple of my kids are like very, very sensory, and they've always Asher can't wear certain fabrics because they make him feel nauseated and some different things like that. So like I know that I personally, I have lamb's ear right by my front door, and I literally just stand there when I'm on the phone. I have to go outside, and I just stand there and rub it between my fingers. And so that might be something fun to consider for his job, for his garden.
All right, so that's it for today. Someone asked, when do we do the next live? Sundays at 7 Central. We have played around with changing the time, but we haven't fully committed to that.
Changes.
Also, be looking. I don't know if we'll get it out this week, but we are actually going to be making some serious ethical changes to our merchandise. We are going to be moving away from Teespring and into actually, we're going to be teaming up with the local shop that we did the Rise and Shine shirt from.
Yep.
So we're going to be supporting a local business on an ethically sourced shirt, and we're super excited about it.
And they're not going to cost any more for you guys.
Nope. And they actually will cover international shipping. Yep. They're making that change for us.
Yep.
So I'm excited about it. It will change what shirts are available when, but I still think it'll be better for everybody. You'll get a much higher quality shirt for a good price from a small company. Yep. So be looking for that change. We will announce when we are going to close Teespring. And here's the thing about that. When we go to close it, we can't guarantee that all those shirts are going to carry over. So if there is a particular shirt that's on there that you really want, you might just want to go ahead and get it, because once we close it, it'll be different. That's all I can say. But we feel really convicted about doing this. Like we really want to follow our conscience.
We want to move towards, or like, so it's probably going to happen like next week is whenever we're looking at moving everything over.
But we'll give you notice on Teespring. We won't just rip it down, and then we'll move forward from there.
One last question, because I've seen this a couple of times, but it was while you were talking, Ralph. We have sunflowers at the end of the beds for the purpose of just the beauty of it. They're really great for the pollinators. They pull pollinators in. However, I've also learned recently, and I think that this is true. You know, you hear a lot of companion planting stuff that you don't know, but I've heard that sunflowers attract ants, and that ants feed on aphids. And you think ants aren't great, but like my sunflowers have always been covered in ants, and I just leave them alone because they're not hurting anything on there. And that, I don't know if that's true or not, but I plant them because I think they're beautiful. So thank you guys so much for hanging out with us tonight. We appreciate it, and we love to get to spend this time with you. We bless you. Until next time.